quick thank you to our sponsors for making this podcast possible. They keep this show free to listen to. Hey there, Peace and Parenting family. If you love the podcast but wish to enjoy it without interruptions, your wish has come true. Introducing the ad-free version of the Peace and Parenting podcast, available exclusively on Apple Podcast. As a subscriber, you'll get all the heartfelt advice, parenting stories, and actionable tips you love without any ads. For less than the cost of a coffee each month, you will enjoy uninterrupted listening while also supporting our work to help you build stronger connections with your kids. Try it out for free. Simply find Peace and Parenting on Apple Podcasts, click Try Free, and you'll gain immediate access to our ad-free episodes. There's no commitment and you can cancel anytime. So if you're ready for a more peaceful, uninterrupted listening experience, subscribe now. Let's keep focusing on connection without the distractions. Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
We're going to talk about what we often don't talk about. Why do some children stop asking for what they need and they start managing the people around them? And the harder question underneath that one is, are you raising this child? Are you raising a child maybe who's doing all of this and you might not even be noticing it? I know I did. If you're here today, you are already doing something right, because the parents who break this pattern are the parents who are willing to look at their own children for what is actually happening, not just what is easy to celebrate, like my daughter Pia. And we'll get into more of who she was and what became of her people pleasing as we go through this training. A lot of you recognize the word people pleaser, right? You called yourself one maybe, or your sister is one like mine was. You have maybe done years of work trying to unwind it, or you've noticed people in your life who have it. And almost nobody is talking about is that people pleasing does not start in adulthood. It starts in childhood, very young. And it starts with the child making decisions, usually before they even have language for it or even know what's going on. It's subconscious almost. And they know that the world is safer when they manage the adults around them than when they tell the truths about themselves. And it's hard when you have families with two kids that are totally different. I've got a people-pleasing child, and I have a child who is the complete opposite and will not even consider pleasing anyone until herself is pleased. And so today I'm going to show you exactly how that happens, what it looks like, and what to do starting today if you're worried about it, or if you even think that your child leans this way. I'm going to start with my own story. Pia, my youngest. From the day she was born, she was easy. She was always quiet and looking, and she would play by herself for hours. She was observant. She didn't push back. She didn't really melt down much. She didn't interrupt. People told me all the time, oh my gosh, you're so lucky you have this second child who's easy. Your first one was really hard and this child is easy. And I believed it. And it made me believe I was doing something right. But it also made me believe that my other child was wrong. And so for years, I told myself how lucky I was that I just had one girl that was easy, and that there couldn't be anything possibly wrong with my parenting because I had a child who was functioning and successful inside of my parenting. And one afternoon when Pia was around 3, when I really first started this work, she said something to me that I will never forget. And I was busy doing something. And Esme, my oldest, of course, was needing me for something, because her way of trying to connect with me and trying to get her needs met was to be bigger, right? So Pia, completely unprompted, looked up and said to me, Mommy, don't worry, I can do it on my own. And I said, I know, baby. You're always so good at that. The hardest part of parenting Pia was not the meltdowns. There were no meltdowns. The hardest part was learning to notice the child who didn't really ask for much, the child who figured it out before she could fully talk. That the way she stayed close to me was by needing nothing. She wanted to be smaller so that she didn't bother me, so she could stay connected to me. That was her temperament. That's the version of people pleasing that we don't really talk about. The loud kid who falls apart with you, like my Esme, how many people have that kid? The loud kid, the kid taking up all the space. That kid's actually safe. They feel free enough to come apart in front of you, no matter what you think. But the kid we need to worry about is the kid who has stopped asking because they learned somewhere in their body that it costs more than going without. They watch us interact with the child who's more difficult and they say, I don't want any part of that. No, no, no. So that day when she said that to me, I started to understand something. It took me a long time to put it all together. The good kid is not always the okay kid. The easy kid is not always the safe kid. Sometimes the quietest, most polite child is the one who's learned very early that the world is safer when they manage us. And here's the part I realized with Pia. The reason Pia had learned to need nothing was not because of anything that happened in preschool or a friend's house or out in the real world. It was because of what was happening at our home with me. Because I came to parenting before I was 4. Before I could understand what happiness was, I realized that I needed to make sure I could manage my parents' feelings. And I wasn't very good at that because I was big and loud, but my sister was. She was really good at managing my parents' feelings. She became smaller. She didn't need so much. And guess what? I brought that whole operating system into my parenting. I became Esme became me, Pia became my sister, and I operated in a way where I needed everyone to behave. It was performance oriented. Esme was the loud one who took up most of the air in our house, and there was barely any air left for Pia, being my brilliant little observer. She did the math before she could even fully talk. She made herself small to fit into what was left, just like the paradigm I grew up in. It was a complete mirror. 2 girls, 3 years apart, same kind of parenting, same kind of paradigm, same kind of result. She watched every move I made with Esme. She noticed when I became unhinged, and she didn't want anything to do with the messiness, so she was quieter. She wasn't just easy, she was making room for us, for the rest of us to be big, to have our feelings, to live our lives. I want you to know something about me before we go any further. I missed that with my own kids. And I was even a teacher and a counselor, and I grew up in it. And I went to years of therapy. But that pattern wasn't visible for me. I couldn't see it. It hides. It hides in compliance. It hides in being the good kid. It hides in the societal norm of, behavior. If you've missed it too, you're not behind. You're paying attention now. And now is the time to do the work. So here's the lie most of us were told by society. We were told that a good child is a calm child, a polite child, a child who does not make a scene. My Esme was, labeled as the bad kid, the hard kid, the disruptor. Something was wrong with her. But my Pia was touted as the kid that was doing everything right so that she was good. And so then everything was good. And we've spent generations praising children for the absence of their needs. But the absence of need is not the same as the absence of feelings, emotions, or pain. Some children don't need as much as other children in any given moment. They're even tempered. They're easy to soothe. They have what they need and they go play. That's a real thing. But that's not exactly what we're talking about today. There's another child, and she's the child this training is for. She looks easy from the outside, but underneath, she's doing a job. She's scanning the room. She's reading the mom and dad's faces. She's calibrating which version of herself is allowed today. She is suppressing the things she wants so that she does not add weight, so she can feel the air. That child is not calm. She's hyper vigilant. And the cost of hypervigilance every single time gets paid somewhere else, usually in the body, sometimes in adulthood, maybe in a therapist's office 25 years later. When a perfectly competent woman in her 30s, like my sister, has no idea what she wants to do in life because nobody ever asked her. My sister suffered from chronic pain for years and years until she decided to go to therapy to figure out what the heck was going on with her. And what she realized was that she stuffed her feelings to become small in our home. And that didn't serve her well as an adult. And she spent years unraveling that. And that person might be you, or might be your spouse, could be one of your kids. And the gift of being her, of having lived inside that nervous system your whole life, is that you can see this is your own child before anyone else does. And me seeing my sister has helped me see my daughter. You know the signs because either you've been that kid or you know that kid. But the teacher's not going to see it. They're going to praise it. The grandparents aren't going to see it. They're going to be so happy that we have this child who's compliant. The well-meaning friend will tell you, oh, you're so lucky. You got an easy one. You will see it. And what we are doing today is to give you the framework to act on what you see. These children were rewarded for not being children. And many of us are now afraid that we are doing the same, sometimes without noticing, to a small person in our own house. So if the fear is what brought you here, let's name what it actually is. And here's the research. The direction of attunement matters. Young children build their sense of self by reading the primary caretaker. They read our faces, they listen to our voices, they look at our body thousands of times a day. And why is that? Because their reptilian brain tells them, I need this person for survival. So when the parent is reading the child learns that what they feel is okay. When the child is reading the child learns to manage instead. And the reason this installs so early is simple: survival. The strongest motivator a small nervous system has, the reptilian brain, is survival. Children do not weigh the long-term cost of suppressing themselves. They are just in survival. They're just doing whatever it takes to be close to the adult. Their brain is constantly scanning. How can I stay close to this person? I need them. I need them for nourishment. I need them for shelter. I need them for love. I have to stay close to this person or I will not survive. And those are essential. And our brain will do whatever it takes to get those needs met. So the more you have, if you have a child that has a temperament that's more agreeable, that means they will become smaller if they feel as if the only way they're going to get their needs met is if they're not a problem. In a rebellious child, this means being even bigger and taking up more space because they will scream and yell until they get it. If staying close requires being easy, they are easy. If staying close requires being quiet, these children will be quiet. If staying close requires managing your emotions or my emotions, they will manage. And by the time we figure it out decades later, that strategy had a cost. The strategy has become who we are. The work for our own kids is to make sure they never have to choose between being themselves and being close to us. And that's why connective parenting is so effective, because we never ask a child to choose, not the rebellious child and not the quiet child. Okay, 5 patterns. How loving parents build people pleasers unknowingly. Here are the 5 patterns. This is what I see often in my coaching every week. And I've done all 5 of these myself, so there's no judgment. Praising the absence of need. You're so easy. You never give me trouble. I'm so lucky you're not like your brother. Every one of these sentences sounds like love, but the child whose nervous system is listening, what they hear is, I'm loved when I'm not a burden, especially when it comes to a sibling. If a sibling is big and overwhelming and we are always exacerbated by the sibling, they notice that. The fix is talk about who they are. I love spending time with you. I love how you think. Never thank a child for being convenient. Number 2, modeling adult distress without resolution. Your child sees you stressed. It's normal. They see you exhausted. It's also normal. But the damage happens when the child watches the distress and never gets to see what happens next. That you took care of yourself, that you took care of your needs. A young child files the distress as something that they caused, as something they need to fix. The fix is when your child sees you upset, close the loop out loud. I'm having a hard day. I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to sit down and have a cup of tea. This isn't your burden. This is mine. The sentence reroutes the storyline. Take responsibility for your feelings. Number 3, asking children to manage adult feelings. Don't make mommy so upset. You're going to make daddy angry. I had such a long day. Please, please, please just be good for me. I've said that a lot. These sentences land in a child's body as a job description. Your job is to make sure I'm okay. And that child, these sensitive children, they take that job seriously. So don't put your feelings on a child's shoulder. Your feelings are not your child's responsibility. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. Even when you are at the end of your rope, most especially then, and I'll say it again, especially with siblings, coming unhinged with a sibling is very visible for a child. They notice that, they see it, they see how hard it is for you. And now that sibling has become the hard thing. And so they become easy. Number 4, receiving the mask as love. When your child performs the version of themselves they think you want and you respond with delight, this is a hard one. They learn which version of themselves gets you warmth. Over time, only that version comes out. The real version goes underground. Here's the fix. Notice the parts of your child that feel less convenient and respond to those with the same warmth. When they're cranky, come with connection, come with love, come with presence. When they're having a hard time, make sure you are showing up. Also for their sibling, they're watching everything you do. They're observers. So if you come to their sibling with connection when the moments are difficult, they're noticing that. My mom is safe. I can go to her with my feelings someday. I'm learning. Number 5, rewarding emotional containment. What a big girl you are. You didn't even cry. You're so brave. You handled that so well. When we praise children for not feeling, we teach them that feeling less makes them more lovable. And then we wonder, 20 years later, why they can't tell us when something is wrong. So let's not praise those things. Instead, we encourage them to have their feelings. I'm so glad you told me that. I'm proud of you for letting yourself cry. Thank you so much for showing me your feelings. I'm here for all of it, no matter what. I love you. These 5 things, praising the absence of need, modeling distress without resolution, assigning feelings, receiving the mask, rewarding containment. These are how loving, good, thoughtful, lovely parents accidentally build people pleasers. None of them come from not loving your child. All of them come from our culture. Our culture has taught us to manage children and to make children obedient rather than have a loving, connected relationship. Thank you for joining me on the Peace in Parenting podcast. I'll see you next time.
Hey there, Peace in Parenting family. If you love the podcast but wish to enjoy it without interruptions, your wish has come true. Introducing the ad-free version of the Peace in Parenting podcast, available exclusively on Apple Podcast. As a subscriber, you'll get all the heartfelt advice, parenting stories, and actionable tips you love without any ads. For less than the cost of a coffee each month, you will enjoy uninterrupted listening while also supporting our work to help you build stronger connections with your kids. Try it out for free. Simply find Peace in Parenting on Apple Podcasts, click Try Free, and you'll gain immediate access to our ad-free episodes. There's no commitment and you can cancel anytime. So if you're ready for a more peaceful, uninterrupted listening experience, subscribe now. Let's keep focusing on connection without the distractions.